York, Pennsylvania, please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
I've thought a lot this week about how, like, family can be chosen. Like, you have your family, you have your family, your people you grow up with and everything, but along the way you find people who you really connect with. You choose them and they choose you and everything. Because the family that you're born into, I'm not saying there isn't massive value in making everything work with your family that you possibly can. I'm just saying that, like, sometimes look, they're your first crack at, like, relationships. Do you know what I mean? Like with most people, especially with the big family, if you line them up together, you'd be like, all right, if y'all didn't already know each other, I'm not sure you'd be hanging out. Like, I got cousins that I love dearly, but, like, I don't know. They're like athletic. And then I show up with a Rubik's Cube, but they're like, very cool, very cool. Yeah, you can tell somebody's not into what you're into when they talk to you all slow like that. When they're like, that's awesome, bud. That is fantastic. I like that you are into that. Wow. Oh, I've been hit with wows in my life. Sometimes you get someone that even if you weren't related, if y'all had met, you would have linked up perfect, like understand each other. That real bond, right? And you have the benefit of actually being family, so you get even more time with this person. Like, I look at, tell you about Nikki. Nikki was a kid back down south, very big kid, but not like big, just tall. I say big, but I mean tall. He was too tall. He was too tall of a person. It was too much. It was like cartoonishly tall. He was that type of tall where everybody asked him if he played basketball. You know that? You know that type of, like, I mean, you're just so, do you just love playing basketball? As if it's a requirement to stay that tall. That you gotta start putting in hoop time if you're gonna stay this tall. It's such a funny question. I've never been asked if I play basketball for my height. It's just such a funny question because I can imagine what's going through the mind of a tall person when they're getting that question, because it's such a thirsty question from a short person. They're like, do you play? You must. Like, you have to. Like, you need this. I need this. I need you to play. Why can't just do it? I feel like that desperation is because you know that they could touch it. It's like, you could touch the rim so easy. You have to touch it for both of us. You have to play. I don't know what the rim feels like. Just please play. I need this. But Nikki was Nikki was tall, but he was as tall as he was clumsy. He was that type of person you would ask to grab something from the top shelf for you, and then as he's grabbing it, you know, he's got the height, but he didn't have the grip. So he really just knocked something down off onto your head. You about to thank him too. You looking up. Thank you so much. And so him playing basketball was a disaster. He was very clumsy. And it was insane to watch. Like, I give him a little bit of grace because, like, when he would dribble, the ball did take too long to get back. Like, That's not all his fault. When I dribble, I'm right here. It's a frequent visitor, right? But when he would dribble, it'd just take forever to come back up, and by then he had already run away. He could do that thing, though. He could do that thing where he could palm the ball. That was wild to watch. Just watch him grab the ball and hold it up look like a magic trick of being tall. And he was always getting truly just smoked on the court. Even his handles were terrible. He tried to put it through his leg. It would hit his elbow on the other side. Never knew how much pressure to apply to the dribble. So instead of being over here, one, he's over here watching it fly away. And there was one day, I don't know what got into him, but there was one day he was making a drive for that net. He wanted to, I guess, show off for somebody. And so he's running down the court, clearly traveling. There's no way he was ever gonna. And he's over here with got both hands on the ball, got the elbow out when people get close, the weapons. And then this dude jumps for a dunk. He goes to dunk, and on top of being uncoordinated, on top of being a true waste of height, this young man has no strength in his ankles or calves. So when he jumps for the dunk and he flies forward, there's someone guarding him. And I think even that guy thought he was going to fly over. Because, look, he didn't do a simple, jump up, efficient dunk. He fully leg spread NBA logo. The problem is he's either pushed or made everybody else get out of the way up until this last person, this guy trying to finish just standing there, right? And because he got no air, because he jumped the height of his own shins, he simply flies into this man. He jumped into him. I've never seen a person jump into another person. He jumped into him like he thought he would go through and it, like he thought he would be him. He jumped. This guy's got his arms out and he jumped into him like it was the end of a war. Like they were finally reunited. This man, holding the ball in the air, just jumps forward. Flies into this dude. And never in the history of street ball, I don't think anyone's ever seen anything happen like this. This man probably expected Nikki to fly over him. But when he just sort of kept coming forward at the height, basically the height he was already at, but with his legs spread, never in the history of basketball on a public court has this happened. He flew in just trying to dunk, and then this man caught him. I need to show you then. He caught him. Caught him into his arms. Didn't fall backwards or anything, just straight up caught him because Nikki started jumping too far away, so he didn't have the momentum to knock somebody down. And then Nikki, this fool, still dunked. Still dunks. and then had the nerve to let go of the rim, putting all his weight back into this man's arms. Craziest part about it, he was still talking trash the whole time. He's still being held midair, talking crazy to everybody on the court. This man is up here. That's right, this is my house. Y'all get out the kitchen because I'm cooking right now. Can't nobody touch me. Sir, someone is touching you right now. So uncomfortable. And you know, Nikki was tall, he wasn't big or anything, but he was big enough to recognize that he was bigger than the people around him. And so he was somebody who truly fit that stereotype of like gentle giant, like didn't want to hurt anybody, didn't want to mess with anybody. In fact, his need to be gentle actually made him pretty easy to bully. Kids that were way smaller than him would give him a hard time, you know? And there was I'm sure, a bit of a fear taken up for himself because, you know, he didn't know what could happen. And so Nikki, very sweet, very easy to bully. You didn't have to worry about Nikki. You had to worry about his sister. His sister, first of all, his sister, not tall at all. Nikki got all the height in the family. But his sister would see somebody messing with Nikki, and she would come out of nowhere. Truly nowhere. There was this one time that this kid was pushing Nikki around, right? And then finally, Nikki had enough, and he pushed this other kid back, right? But then that kid, you know, when somebody's bigger than you, you figure they can take whatever. This kid runs back up, pushes him down as hard as he can. Nikki falls to the ground. We don't know where his sister came from. We don't know where she just came running. I need to be clear how we didn't know where she came from because she didn't go to the same school. So when did you start running? Running, then jumps in the air. We all give credit for that Sparta kick to the movie 300. But I had seen it years before. She got a running start, it jumped up in the air, and then foot first walked up this kid. Remember the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where they just sort of kick, and they never came down? Yeah. Oh. It is tough when you move out on your own for the first time and you're broke, but you're also young. Like I had the benefit of being young and broke, so I didn't even realize how broke I was. I wasn't even aware it could not be like this. Because, you know, there's a different mindset. I can only speak for myself, but it seems like there was just a different mindset at the time for the sort of standards of my mom's house versus like what mine would be, because I was out on my own for the first time, so I was sort of setting them in real time, like setting these parameters. When you're out by yourself for the first time and you get your first place, this little studio apartment in Chicago, it's like anything. You could do anything, you know? You could put up both Fight Club posters. You could do whatever. You could get the main one and the variant right next to it. There's nobody to stop you. You know, I had an air mattress and everything. Just starting out, and so there are some things that I think other people would have clicked right away. We should do something about it. And it just didn't happen for me. Not in my head right away. Like, for instance, when I would have somebody over and my fridge worked, but it didn't work hard. Like my fridge would do the fridge things, but just not all the things a fridge is supposed to do. I'd have somebody over, and then I'd offer them something to drink. I'd grab them something to drink, and I knew the cold spots of the fridge because the whole fridge wasn't cold, right? There were some, like the crisper was crispy. The crisper was perfect. Anything you really wanted to keep, you put in the crisper. But other stuff you just had to be like, well, that's just a regular shelf. That's basically a cabinet shelf. And so I remember there was this one time that invited somebody over, poured them a drink, and then they asked for some ice, and I was like, okay. So my freezer doesn't make ice. Like, it doesn't. And what I meant was, like, my freezer didn't get cold. Like, my freezer was actually hot. Like, I don't know what coil was switched, but the top was hot. A regular fridge was fridge, but this over here was basically a microwave. And so I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't make ice in there. And they were like, oh, okay, well, do you have an ice tray? Let's just pour some water. Well, I don't mind waiting. And I was like, oh, you thought I meant I didn't have an ice maker. Okay, so what I'm saying is that like it won't exist in there. Like, it's too hot. Like, that's why I don't have anything but bread in there, because it's very warm. And they weren't being rude, but they just sort of said it, I guess, as they were thinking it. They were like, you can't afford ice? And when somebody points something out to you like that, it does remind you where you are when you can't afford just certain temperatures. That's a level of broke. That's a breakthrough of broke, to not be able to afford enough coal near you. And so when you're in a situation like that, just like when I was on my own and was sort of getting my bearings around being out in the world and what things I needed to fix first, because I still need a bed. I finally got a bed, and when I got that bed, okay, first of all, got the bed off Craigslist, so don't. The frame. I say whole bed as if it's a whole bed because, if you just got a mattress on the floor, that's a mattress on the floor. You can't call that a bed. So I got my bed frame off Craigslist, and then, bought a mattress and everything. That took some saving. For a little while, the air mattress was on the bed frame. Because if you did look too fast, it looked regular. But that bed frame, man, no wonder they were getting rid of it. Every time you sat down, you felt like you were hurting it. The entire time I had that bed frame, I'd be in my head thinking, like, why does my bed's back hurt so much? And every creak is just, it just sounds like you don't have your life together. You sit down after a long day of work and you hear, how am I gonna get any restful sleep with you complaining the entire night? I'd move my leg and the bed would do everything except scream. But when you're in a situation like that, and let's say you're even younger, let's say you're like Nikki and his sister, especially in the neighborhood that they were in. There's a lot of things coming at you, maybe faster than you know how to process. You know, you're in a neighborhood where there's gangs, where there's gang violence, and obviously after the fact, people ask themselves, why would anybody join a gang? You know, why would anybody get involved? And it's a question that's more important to ask before anything happens. You know, after these decisions have been made, it's very easy to just be flippant about it. Why would anybody? Maybe this is somebody who's been beat up their entire life. The only time they don't get beat up is when they're with these people. For better or for worse, you know. Maybe these people aren't the best to have around, but at least I'm somewhat safe. It's a different type of danger hanging out with them. There's a present danger I know by being alone. You know? Maybe there's some sense of this is the only way I'm going to be able to make some money. These guys already know a way. These guys always have money on them. You know, there's a false perception that maybe this is the way. You know, they put a gun in your hand. I'm sure you feel powerful. You know? They tell you run the block. I'm sure you feel powerful. It's not until something actually stops you that you realize you're not all powerful. Like you look at a kid like Nikki, and you know it's not like it is in the TV shows all the time, where there's just somebody seeking out, oh, that guy looks cool, I'll follow him around, maybe he'll let me join or something. Some people are coerced, some people are threatened. You know? You live here, you see us doing work, maybe it's time for you to do some work. They recruit them. That's the thing that people leave out. They recruit them. You know? And so maybe a kid like Nikki sees, though, this isn't it. I don't know what is, but this can't do this. So then a kid who almost never takes up for himself. A kid who's very gentle, although he's very tall. Waste of tall. Not using the tall right at all, but that's beside the point. A kid like Nikki gets approached, tells them, no, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I just live here. I'm not. And then it's his sister, of all people. It's his sister that also looks him in the face. Don't talk to my brother. You leave him alone. Right? Don't come near him. And when you're dealing with a gang, you're not dealing with a lot of reason behind decisions. But this kid who's known for being soft, telling you no like that to your face, and his sister backing him right up every time she sees you all around him, that won't do. You tell them no even after they start messing with you. And then it's someone like your sister that takes up for you. It's someone like your sister that tells them to their face, not as big as you, not as scary. You leave my brother alone. It takes a lot of bravery to do something like that. You leave my brother alone, knowing how dangerous they are. And then, maybe, one day, they decide to send some sort of message, right? They pass your house, and they shoot at your house. But you're not home. Your sister's home, though. And those bullets that may have even been meant for you, whether they were meant to send a message or they were meant for you, they don't hit you. You're not there. They hit your sister. They took your sister. Do you see how a gang works? They'll take everything that they can as long as you let them. They'll do whatever they like as long as they feel like nobody can stop them. You know? I'll back up real quick. You know, being out on your own and broke, you have to decide what professionals you're going to spend your money on, because all the professionals you can't afford. So sometimes you got to go to a professional who says they're professional and doesn't feel very professional. Like, for instance, I require some things from a professional. Like, some of it may have nothing to do with their capabilities at their job. They're just things that make me uncomfortable. Like, I don't like when my professionals in some fields take cash. That makes me nervous. If you go to the doctor and you get done and they don't ask you about insurance or anything, they're like, all right, it's gonna be $250, so you can do 10s and 5s. I could break 100 if you need change. Some things you just want to have taken care of ahead of time so you can just enjoy the experience of being in the presence of a professional. I don't want my pilot to take cash. What if I don't have cash on me? Even like the nonverbals sometimes. Sometimes a professional will let their feelings escape, right? They won't be very professional. Just let it out as it happens. That is very jarring. It's terrifying. I don't ever want that to happen. Imagine you in court. You're in court, and then the prosecutor says something, and then your lawyer turns to you and goes, "What's wrong with you? Everybody heard that. You couldn't keep that in." No, because you know what it is whenever people, they're supposed to be professional, emote like that, it lets you know that they also don't know what's supposed to happen. Now we're living in chaos. Do you know what I mean? If the people who are supposed to know don't know, if the people who are supposed to act some sort of way don't know how to act that way, now we're in chaos. Like, now we're in chaos. Like, now we're in chaos. And I remember one of the earlier times I felt like this was with my dad. I was in the car with my dad, and we got a flat tire. And he went to the trunk, grabbed the spare, changed the tire, and then the car wouldn't start. I'm not saying at 7 years old I knew how to change a tire. I was just confused why, after changing this tire, the car as a whole gave up. The car that was running before, and then you changed the tire. Here's the thing, I'm not a mechanic, not an engineer, but I look at tires like shoes. And if somebody's shoe fell off or wore down to the point they need another shoe, and then you gave them that shoe, And then they were like, oh, I don't walk anymore. I think you would be confused. I think it's fair that I was confused. I was like, all the wheels good. Maybe try it again. He's over here. Nothing. You know. So then he had to go into a store, find a phone, because this is, you know, I'm like a 90s baby. I didn't have a cell phone for a long time. My dad didn't have a cell phone for a while. He had to go into a store and ask to use their phone to make a very embarrassing phone call. To call whoever he called to be like, yeah, I changed the tire. And now my car doesn't want to be a car anymore. And I remember I asked him, like, what are we going to do, Dad? And in a moment of honesty, because to be fair, your parents are your parents. They're not professionals. They should be allowed to be human, you know? But I asked him, what are you going to do, Dad? And he was like, I don't know, son. And I know I was little, but even looking back, I had too strong of a reaction. I was like, you don't know! That was a little too much. But in my mind, in my like little bit of life experience, I was like, we are stranded here then. What do you mean you don't know? And then someone came and they gave my dad a jump. Now, this is the first one I had ever seen. And once again, me being a kid, I didn't say it out loud, but in my head, I was like, that's not gonna work. Y'all just doing stuff now. Like this. Oh, you're gonna put the wire in the wire and and then it did work. And when it worked, to my credit, I was like, man, my dad's a genius. Who would even thought you just wire up to another car and it'll be a car again? But yeah, that feels like where we are, where, do you know what I mean? Where there are people that are supposed to know, who even say that they know, but when they start telling you what they know, you realize they don't know anything. And that's very scary. That's terrifying. Sometimes I don't even know what press conference I'm watching and what it's about. I watched this, there was a press conference where there was a press conference where Marco Rubio wrote something down and slid it to Trump. And like, I don't know, man, I've never seen somebody so locked in to being evil and so checked out of life. Because this dude gets slid the note, and then there's no way Trump has an internal monologue. We must know every thought that comes through his head. Because Marco Rubio went ahead and passed him the note. And then he says out loud, you know, okay, do you remember in English class when your teacher made you like read Shakespeare, but then somebody in the class had to also read the stage direction just so everybody would know where we were at. Things that should clearly be in his head get spoken out loud. This dude gets slid the note and then says out loud, Marco Rubio just passed me a note. You gotta watch the video from the specific angle I'm talking about because it exists. I saw it when it happened, but the other angle that's like centered on Trump doesn't do it justice. There's an angle that's like to the right of Trump, there's a camera, and you see where Trump says Marco Rubio just passed me a note, you see Marco Rubio go, and then Trump reads the note out loud for everyone. And that's, once again, maybe something he meant to do in his head and his mouth never stopped. Because then he's like, it says Chevron. Go back to Chevron. He read the note out loud. At a press conference, I'm assuming where they're talking about oil, and doesn't seem to know what this note means. Go back to go back to Chevron. All right. I'm surprised he didn't just keep talking. Like, go back to Chevron. Oh, I've never worked there. Interesting. Okay. Like he so clearly did everything that should have been in his head. I'm surprised this man didn't grab the note. Marco Rubio just passed me a note, bend arm. It says, go back to Chevron. What does that mean, turn head? And look, I don't even know if this is the same press conference because this is a different clip. There was a point where I don't know if Trump was talking or somebody else was talking or if he was being asked a question, but he just got up from the table and looked out the door. This man over just, yeah, you know. Wow. That's gonna be the entrance to the ballroom. Sir, if you don't sit your Biden-built brain down, this is everything you said about Biden. Everything you doing right now. Every ounce of it was supposed to be what Joe Biden was like. This man tried to bully Joe Biden the entire campaign with the fact that the auto pen, the auto pen, the famous auto pen, he doesn't know what's going on. Somebody else is running the White House. It's like, all right, look, for all of his faults, Biden was never passed a note. He was never passed a note. It was like, Vice President Harris just passed me a note. No, it's insanity. is so wild. Especially because we're how it all just feels especially insane that how this dementia is affecting all of us. Do you know what I mean? Like I've had people in my life that I love dearly have dementia, and it affected the family, not the country. Not, you know what I mean? Like it, if your great uncle starts grabbing the remote control for the TV and pressing buttons and putting it to his ear, that doesn't affect Greenland. You know? It's just, I don't know. Sometimes you just want to get the message out. Thank God the internet, for now at least, is like viewable by people from other countries that aren't near, because they can see us also be like, no, every day we wake up, and if you have a smartphone, you probably have your notifications on. Which is not, it's maybe wait. The stuff will be there eventually. You shouldn't wake up to the news. Give yourself a minute. Do you know what I mean? Because like you wake up and then you open your phone and there's all the headlines because the publications were working while you were sleeping, and they have a list ready to go of things to give you Marco Rubio face. There's a big flaw we have now in that the news by headline is like in your phone. It just hits your phone like that. You gotta turn your notifications off sometimes just for the sake of your mind, because you know I was checking the time. I just wanted to know the time, and now, uh-oh. Well, oh no, I was gonna travel. Looks like we're not friends with anybody anymore. It's devastating, you know? And then you see things like you see what happened in Minneapolis. Yeah. You see everything that happened, and it is, it's sad and fascinating that no matter how many angles come out, no matter what people are watching, no one's really changing their position. And I think one of the main reasons is that there are many people that are trying to argue the legality, and everyone else is trying to argue the morality, you know? We're not speaking the same language about these things, which is one of the main reasons we're not getting anywhere. And I think that, look, if your entire moral compass is based on what the laws are currently at the time, I think that's a very weak compass, because all of the good that has ever come to this country and to people in general was through change. It was through adjustment. It was through figuring out what met the moment the best, you know? There's no, to me at least, there's very little good in just saying, well, that is the way it is. It's like, that's not enough. Every benefit to your life, every single benefit to your life came through some sort of change. The powers that be weren't just waking up one day and then thinking, oh, well, we probably should do a little better. Sadly, that's not how that sort of like arc of justice bends. It usually bends with pressure, you know? Trust me when I tell you that J.D. Rockefeller or, you know, Carnegie, any of these robber barons, they weren't laid up at night figuring out how to start a union. You know? All these things come with time. You know, you can make whatever legal argument you want to make. That is not what people are not arguing for some sort of like Section 3, Article 5 of some. They saw the video. You saw the video. And I personally think one of the reasons to argue the legality or to make the status quo your moral compass is because you're either not affected or you think that if you play ball, it won't come for you. It won't affect you, you know? And that's just not the case. Now we are where we are because they needed something. They needed something. They passed this bill that is going to really devastate a lot of people. You know what I mean? They passed it a while ago and they're hoping you don't remember. In fact, they're looking for something. They need something new. It can't be the old stuff because they said they fixed all the old stuff, right? So they need something new. You know, they passed this bill that lets AI companies off the hook, that rolls back a bunch of environmental protections, that slashes your health care, and they need something new, which is why they landed on Somali daycare fraud. No, you know Somali daycare fraud, the most lucrative fraud of all time. It is the fraud that... It's honestly the fraud that the world turns on the axis of. It is the most prevalent fraud that has ever existed. If only Walter White had known about Somali daycare fraud, it would have been a very different show. No, they need something new because they're hoping that you'll forget that they can't actually, and they don't have plans to, and the things that it would take, they're not willing to do to improve your life. They're not going to do it, you know? They're all in the same pool, so they're not going to tax their friends, you know? So what can they do? Well, they can't improve your life. They can't do it, but they can make everybody else's life miserable. Like they could make everyone else's life worse, and then that's equality. Yeah. It's like when you're it's like when you're dating somebody that sucks, and then they are like, yeah, but other people suck too. You'll sit them down and tell them everything that you feel like they are doing wrong in the relationship, and they're like, everybody does that though. Like if it's not me, it's just gonna be somebody else forgetting your birthday. That's gonna happen. Because you see what happened, and you see how panicked they genuinely were. You know, they sent these guys out. I hate to burst anyone's bubble, but as a country, we are like broke. You know what I mean? We are like, because their bill also adds to the deficit. And we're very broke. And not the government, I should be clear. The people. The people. I know people think it's the same thing. But people from other countries, just so you know, it's not the same thing. The country, as in the government, is doing fine. They just found a bunch of oil. It's the people. It's the people who are struggling. It's the people whose groceries prices and whose healthcare costs are skyrocketing. It's the people who have less to show for the work that they do. And it's the people losing their jobs, getting their government jobs slashed and getting let go from companies and everything. And so they need something. We can't afford, in the bill, $29 billion for ICE. We cannot afford ICE any more than I could afford ICE. I can't believe $29 billion. I mean, but this is my thing, I guess, is that you watch something like what's happening in Minneapolis, because it's not just one instance, it's not just one thing, you know? Because the same day that Renee Good lost her life, a high school in Minneapolis was pretty much just attacked by ICE, like pepper spray. They pepper sprayed kids, you know? You look at what happened in Chicago. They pulled kids out. They pulled all these people out of this building. It was just a show of force. It doesn't look like there were really any convictions out of that. It was pure harassment, you know? People talk about comply. People talk about what is legal, but really think about what's moral, you know? I'll tell you right now, if you just sort of go with the flow, you go with the status quo, you just simply comply over and over again, you know, nothing really changes. Not a single thing. Because once again, the people who have everything don't really think about breaking you off a piece. That's just not how it works, you know? They weren't up at night figuring out, oh, you know, maybe a minimum wage would be good. You know? I'll tell you right now, if all you do is comply, if all you do is hope that things change or get better, but you go along with everything as it stands, it doesn't happen. If everyone that came before me had just complied, then I probably would have entered this theater, any theater, through a colored section. You know, every good thing you have in your life is a product of someone else's struggle. You know? You see everything that's happening. And it's not about what they say it's about. You know? People talk about coming over the right way, doing it the right way and everything. Meanwhile, the people that say that don't even actually know what the right way is. Not top to bottom. The people trying to do it know. But they don't even understand the significance of yanking people out of a hearing that's their immigration hearing that they showed up to do it the right way. You know, you're just jamming people up for the sake of doing it. Now, be clear here. It is not about Somali daycare fraud. Even the narrative building, even what happens next, then the president makes a statement. There's no way he saw the video. And I'm not even saying that because I think that there's some like moral core to I'm saying that because what he said, he was like, this officer was run over. He's lucky to be alive. She ran right over him. I mean, he basically exploded. And he had the wherewithal to put himself back together again. Reconstitute his body. Amazing stuff. No, you see how they paint this person immediately. You know, they need their narrative more than anything, because if the narrative falls apart, then everything is exposed. And if it's all exposed, you start to blame who's worth blaming. It's never been more important to know all of your rights, to know all of them. And you know, it's never been more important to know the difference between a judicial warrant and an ICE warrant. Like, a judicial warrant is something signed by a judge, and the judge signs it, and it means they can come in. Because the judge wrote that we need to go get you. And a lot of times when they have a judicial warrant, they don't even knock. They just sort of come in. It's not really up for discussion. An ICE warrant is a thing that ICE wrote that they may show you, and it may even be part of narratives that happen for the future where, well, they had a warrant. Which warrant? It's important to know, because ICE having a warrant is like me writing myself a sick note. You know what I mean? I've done it many times. I've had to write my own doctor's note many times. And every time I gotta write my own doctor's note, the story, I do too much. The story's like unbelievable. Like usually a doctor's note is like 2 sentences because doctors don't even want to do it, but sometimes employers or schools require it. But then I would be doing, oh man, I'd be doing too much. I'd be like, ooh, what a brave boy. I can't believe he's making it through, you know? Don't just go easy on him. Applaud him for his courage. It's very important that you understand what's happening and what could happen next as a result of it. So often our lawmakers, and even some of us with the best of intentions, address things as they happen. We don't cut them off ahead of time. Like I watch the things that happen with ICE, and they're not cops. They're these federal agents that are there to kidnap and disappear people. That is the point. It's the entire reason that Renee Good isn't with us. And it is more than fitting that these people, that this administration would be the enemy of good. Like, you're watching it happen. And there's a sort of like collective trauma around it. Because it's just happening over and over again. It happens every time that you watch it. And I don't know, it reminds me that it's important to choose as much family as you can. You choose to protect your family. Choose to protect people that when you were born you had no relation to, but you found each other. There's nothing more important. Because when they didn't see Nikki the first time, they went ahead, spin the block, let's go back around, shot through. They do the same thing to us. They do the same thing to us all the time. You know, several years removed, but not a mile away from where George Floyd died. And what happened then? We marched, we protested, we begged, worked as much as we could for some sort of change, and then several years later, they spin the block, right? They took, and they'll take as much as they can, take as much as you let them. And look, there are people, right? There are people who will never see your side of things. There are people who are not working for you. They work for whatever corporation funds them. They work for whatever lobbyist gives them the most money. But the people that you vote for, the people that you put in power, it is important now more than ever that you stay on their neck. You stay on them. Because when things like this happen and there's this sort of like rhetoric around, you see how people feel one way or the other, and you see politicians try to do their spin. Obviously, there's a way that we expect everybody to fall, but it's important to remember that usually ICE funding is bipartisan. So you only control the people that you vote for, but you got to stay on them. You never let up. Being a public official should be a headache. You know, I genuinely, it depends on who it is, but I usually hate to see him smile. I'm like, why are you having a good day? Because you wonder, you see these videos of people just going about their life or trying to do the right thing, being violently met by ICE agents. There's always a narrative to fall back on later, even when the narrative is a lie, even when it gets disproven. There's always some sort of narrative to fall back on. And it makes you wonder, why would anybody even join up? Why would anybody join this thing? And then you see, it's like, okay, economically tough times, signing bonus, maybe I've been picked on my entire life and now I get a gun, maybe. They tell me that I run this area. I can go wherever I want. I can do whatever I want. Finally have some power. And you see what they do with it. You watch what happened. And it's important to remember that you can choose family. You know? You can choose the people that you stick your neck out for. You can choose the people that you protect that mean as much to you as your own life. You can choose people. And it's important to keep making those choices daily. The stronger you make those choices, the stronger the bond is, the less that they have. Because remember, it's not as if ICE is some sort of army or something. They actually have wildly low numbers. That's why they need the police to come back them up everywhere they go. That's why all it takes is being pelted with snowballs and they leave. It was snowballs. It was snowballs in Minnesota. Snowballs in Minnesota is basically the weather conditions. So that's And so when you watch what happens, it's important that we as people take it upon ourselves as best as we can. As much as we can sacrifice, because everybody can't take on the same amount of burden. I understand that, but as much as you can do, you do it and you make a better world. That's the way forward, you know? This was not the first ICE-related shooting. This was not the first ICE-related death. And it's not just going to go away. I think about those kids that are left behind now and how it's important that they be chosen as family to take them in. Because you watch that video, you watch everything that happened. You can watch people litigate all they want. But once again, you're talking about people who are arguing for the legality versus people who are arguing the morality, you know? They did what they did because they knew that they could. You know what I mean? And it's important that people left behind, like that child, those children, they become our responsibility. Because make no mistake, they took our sister. Do you see how a gang works?
Start clapping right now for your and my good friend, Josh Johnson, everybody. Let's go. Let's go.
You know, I try to be optimistic about things, everything. So I'm not complaining. I didn't know how to take it. I'm still sort of blown away by it. Like, Trump and Mamdani met in the White House. I don't know if this feels like real life. This is crazy. All right, in case you're not familiar with Zohran Mamdani, he is the mayor-elect of New York City. And he won the Democratic primary, and then he went on to win the mayoral race against not so stiff competition. No, it wasn't great. But he won and everything, and the entire time leading up, the whole campaign, he was campaigned against hard by not just his opponents, but by like special interests, by billionaires, and specifically by the president. The president didn't want Mamdani to win at all. The president was over here tweeting hard. Tweeting like you could tell he was pressing the buttons extra hard on all caps all the time. Wanted to let you know he meant business. Ain't nobody playing with y'all. And so he was tweeting, and not tweeting, like not tweet because he got his own thing, he got that Truth Social thing, but like nobody, I don't know anybody who downloaded it, so then everything he tweet on there ends up on Twitter, so he basically still tweeting, but it's just like he has a platform now where he's like the only influencer. Like I don't know a single other truther, you know what I mean? Like no one else I know is posting truths but him. And so he's over here, talking about how he's going to mobilize the National Guard if Zohran Mamdani wins, just like really wild stuff. Really hates the idea of him winning. Zohran calls himself a democratic socialist, and Trump was like, no, he's a communist. He's a communist in disguise. It's like, I don't even know what that means. That's, I don't know. That's, okay, I guess. Man said free pre-K, and Trump was like, that must be communism. You know communists, you know those people that want everybody to eat, He wants a city-run grocery store or whatever. That sounds like communism. Get these communist apples out of my grocery stores. Just saying stuff that, I don't know, just didn't really make sense. And for his part, Zohran only really brought up Trump when asked. He wasn't just one of these people that was campaigning on, like, opposing Trump specifically. You know what I mean? Like, and it's wild that those two are supposed to go be in the same place. Do you know what I mean? That's wild. He invited him to the White House. Zohran better than me. I would have been like, nah, it sounds like a setup. I know a setup when I see one. Nah. Nah, I'm good. You're not gonna Fred Hampton me. No. No way. And look, I get why, like, I really do get why he would go, though. You know, he is the mayor of a city with millions of people who need the resources of the federal government, resources that have been threatened. So I understand going. I'm just saying he's better than me. Much better than me. I've been invited to friends' houses and not gone because I'm like, I think they're mad at me. No, I think it's gonna be awkward. I don't know. Might be a tense conversation. Just stay home. But yeah, crazy. Because you gotta remember, leading up, it's so funny how we treat political figures, and not just political figures, but even like historical figures, where there's these cutoff points. There are these checkpoints where we forget everything that happened up until the next point in their story. You know? So now that Mamdani won, a lot of the stuff people were saying, they're just not saying anymore, and everyone kind of forgot it. But you rewind like 2 months ago, hysteria. Like real hysteria around the idea of him winning. You know? People were over here being like, Zohar Mamdani, he invented Islam. How we gonna let somebody like that be mayor? You know, if he wins as mayor, the whole country is gonna be under Sharia law. I don't think you know what a mayor does. You had people, this is worrisome. I saw this and I prayed it was fake, and it turns out it's true. The story was getting so much national attention, and everybody was following the race so closely that Tuesday, there were people in other states that went to vote for or against Zohar Mamdani. I can't believe how much of this country is missing a civics class. Like, this is terrifying. The idea is so many people would show up in like Virginia and then vote. I mean, it kind of tricked some people into voting. I'm sure there were some people who weren't even going to go vote, but they were like, I gotta stop this. I gotta stop this terrorist from getting in. And then goes to the polls, doesn't see Zoran's name, and they're like, well, while I'm here. Oh, true hysteria around the idea. Because you remember, there were people who said if he wins, immediately New York is going to slip into the ocean or something. There are some people that don't even understand that Eric Adams is still the mayor. Do you know what I mean? That's why I think politics really sucks for someone who like wants to get in, change things, everything. There were people, so Mamdani wins, and the next day there were people being like, what he gonna do about the potholes? I already fell in the pothole. He's not the mayor yet. Well, he won, didn't he? That dude's going to the White House to meet with the president. President Trump. I think that we think, because he's been in our faces so long, that we really understand Trump. I don't think we do. I think that Trump is an enigma, and I don't mean that in a deep way. I mean that There's two ways to be like an enigma. You could be an enigma by being like a deep philosophical, like Alan Watts type that's just like looking at a star and just like pontificating for the rest of the night on like what it means to already be dead by the time we see you and be so far away, but it feels like you're in like my peripheral at the same time. But or you could be an enigma by just walking into a room and be like, blah, 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 blah. We don't really know why either person does either thing. We just sort of know that's what's happening. And so my daddy goes over to the White House and they have a meeting, and like there have been a few people that have met with Trump that I genuinely wish I could have been like an invisible man in the room for. There's been some phone calls he's had. I remember first term. It was like first term. He's on the phone with a couple world leaders in one day. Like he's calling Mexico, he's calling Australia, he's calling. And it was the first time that we got a glimpse, because there were leaks of what the conversation was. It was the first time we got a glimpse of what it would be like for him to govern, you know? Because he was on the phone, he was talking about, you know, hey, look, I said, he's talking with Mexico, he's like, I said I would like get y'all to build the wall and everything. Just listen, just don't say you won't build it. I said you gonna pay for it, nobody gonna check the receipts, all right? We just gonna build the wall, you just don't say anything, okay? They ask you about it, be like, ooh, I don't know. Just keep saying you don't know. We're gonna build the wall and it'll be fine, but just don't tell him. And sure enough, they leaked that conversation. They leaked the conversation where he's like kind of trying to like make a deal, but isn't being the like hard negotiator it seemed like he was gonna be on the campaign trail, right? And that first term had a lot of leaks. Because then apparently Trump called again. It was like, what the hell, man? Thought you were chill. And they get in the room. Because you also got to remember, Trump been campaigning hard against him, so it's a little embarrassing to have to invite this dude now. Because imagine you said all this stuff and then. Dang, y'all aren't gonna like this at all, but the closest thing to what Trump must feel seeing Mamdani at the White House, even though he invited him, after campaigning so hard against him, and then seeing how many people love him and how well he could potentially do. The only thing that's even close to it, in high school, one of our friends got pregnant, right? And she was wondering what she should do, right? And then there was one of our friends that was like, I don't think you're ready to be, you know, a mom. Like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm just saying, like, you're not even passing algebra. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe, just saying. You were asking our opinion, I'm throwing my opinion out there. Maybe. And then, you know, she had the baby, right? And baby's doing well, she's doing well, and she's still friends with her friend. So now her friend just gotta like hang out with this kid she campaigned against. That's tough. That's tough. You know? And so you would think Mamdani coming to the White House and meeting with Trump, I don't know, they're gonna get in a room and fight or something. I don't know. Like, because you gotta remember, Trump has been on like high alert. He's been tense for a while. It's been bad. Everybody keep asking about Epstein. I imagine Trump try to go to McDonald's and order, and they're like, "But what about Epstein?" Do you know what I mean? It's a lot. And so he already on edge. This probably isn't the best time to meet him for the first time. That does just crack me up. Imagine Trump really trying to treat himself too, like taking himself to McDonald's in like his car, like not even being driven. And he's like, "Yeah, can I get 2 Big Macs and 6-piece nugget? Get a large Diet Coke, another large Diet Coke, and an apple pie." And they're like, "Sure, anything else?" And he's like, "A McFlurry, too." And they're like, "All right, your order is $48.25. What about Epstein? Like, what?" And I don't know. This seems like he's not having a great year, right? And now you're meeting him as somebody he campaigned against hard. And then they're in a room together. Nobody knows what was like the vibe in the room except the people in it, which I can't imagine there were too many. And then they left the room and you're thinking, wow, this is it. Trump probably gonna mobilize a National Guard and everything. It's bad. And then they get out there and seemed super friendly. It was genuinely insane. I didn't know how to take it. I've been trying to get people to stop fighting all year and listen to each other. There's 2 people who could be more diametrically opposed on the political spectrum do it, and I'm like, this is uncomfortable. I don't know if I like this at all. Deeply upsetting. And then, Trump sitting there, Zohan standing there. That was a weird dynamic. That was like that part was uncomfortable. I was like, he's got to stand at the desk, like it's show and tell, like. But then, they're talking to the press, and it's like more than cordial. It's like he's like really hyping Mamdani up. He's like, he really beat the odds and everything, and I admire him a lot. And he's over here doing his thing. Young man, bright future for the city and everything. And I was watching like, what? It would be like, this feeling. I'm not even saying this is bad. I don't know if I can trust it yet. You gotta forgive me, I'm black in America. But I'm telling you right now, watching that press conference, it felt like, oh, y'all are pretty white. You'll understand what I'm saying. Okay. This feels like what I imagine y'all would feel like if you had all your friends come to Thanksgiving, and then just because of the seating, just by accident, your most racist uncle was sat next to like your young black friend, right? And so you're expecting, oh no, this is about to be terrible. And then out of nowhere, your most racist uncle just starts talking to your black friend about a Tribe Called Quest. You wouldn't be upset. You'd probably be pretty relieved, but you'd also be like, what? he know so much about Tribe Called Quest? No. Whole thing was very weird, and I wasn't the only one that was weirded out. Like, I wasn't the only one that was shocked. You know, the media was also shocked. Shocked and seemingly a little upset. Because he's over here hyping Mamdani up. And I don't know if they got the first question, but I think they did. First question, New York Post was like, First question was trying to ruin the vibe. It's like, Mr. Mamdani, during your campaign, you called the president a despot, a fascist. Do you regret any of those statements? Did meeting him change your mind in any way? Or do you still hold those beliefs about the president who's right next to you? You know, like when somebody really trying to stir something up? You know when somebody's trying to stir something up and they do that thing where they're like, ooh, I wouldn't take that if I was you. Ooh, wow. They said that about my mama. I don't know what I would do if you, ooh, that's bad. Wow. No, you better than me. You better than me, because I'm not scared to slap somebody. You know what I mean? You see those people who really try to stir something up there, ask them, what do you say? And he was like, the president and I have had many disagreements, but I'm glad that we could have a meeting about the things that we agree upon, and it's a future for the city. It's to do well for New Yorkers, and I think that we can work together in cooperation. And then you even see Trump. You even see Trump just like looking at him like Then he finishes answering the question, and then Trump is like, despot, I've been called a lot worse. I don't even know who asked the next question. I saw another clip with somebody just as upset as New York Post was over here. Newsmax or whatever, I don't know who it was, but they were like, yeah, you seem to think that most of the president's tactics were that of a dictator. You actually called him a fascist several times on the campaign trail. Do you still hold those beliefs? And then Trump, out of nowhere, interrupting, out of nowhere, goes, you can just say yes. Like, you can say yes. You can just say yes. It's easier. It's easier if you just say yes. I was like, what is happening? This is crazy. It's like watching Aladdin. And then they went through all that just to like hang out with Jafar. You know what I mean? Crazy. What? And look, maybe it's gonna be fine. I don't know. That was, I guess you can only have so much energy. You know what I mean? You can only fight so many people. And you also gotta remember that, like, Zoran has a real gift. He has a real gift. He has real charisma. He has just a real presence about him. You know? Deeply charming. Even if you don't like his politics, it's hard to admit that he really energizes people. And that's a special thing, especially now. To be a Democrat that energizes people. There's not many. There's not many at all. There's a depressing amount. There's actually so few that I'm genuinely worried about even the midterms. I don't know. This might be bad. Because, wow. Sometimes, especially when you see the top brass, you know what I mean? Like you see like Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries on TV, and you're like, well, uh-oh. Do you know what I mean? Like Hakeem Jeffries got the vibe of somebody who is like, even when he's like low-key trying to do the right thing, Hakeem Jeffries will step up and get in front of you in a way where you're like, oh, don't. Like, you know, like, it would be like if you got bullied at school and then your dad really wanted to do something about it. But you were like, Dad, you little too. Like, you can't. You know what I mean? Your dad's like, no, let me go talk to him, you know? And dad thinks that just because he a dad, he gonna talk to the bully and the kid's gonna be scared. And it's like, y'all eye level. That's not gonna work. And you know, what if he starts swinging? You anemic and everything, like you can't. And so a part of me does get how this could happen, because Zoran's actually a charming person. You know, and he's energized people. And you even saw Trump be like, I think that there are some conservatives that are gonna love him too. I'm like, what world are we living in? What? It low-key feel like they got in that room alone and Zoran slipped Trump a 20. Like, it's just... What is happening? What did he say to him? But I get it, because, you know, he's actually, you know, charismatic person, and Trump is surrounded, especially in this second term, more so than the first. The first term, Trump was surrounded by, you know, some sycophants and everything, but mostly people who were very, very deeply qualified and boring. He started out with a bunch of people who really knew how to do the job, and he fired most of them almost immediately because they were like, oh, you can't do that. And he was like, get him out of here. He was firing people hard. That first term, remember, I don't even know how to say his dude's name right. Reince Priebus, what's his name? Reince Priebus. He fired that dude on a runway. Like that dude had to walk back from the tarmac. Maybe I'm imagining it, but I feel like it was raining. Like it was. And then he had to fire that dude that was the White House press secretary, Sean Spicer. The next time we saw Sean Spicer, he was on Dancing with the Stars. And we were like, how? You not even fit. Like, what's... I don't even know who his partner was, but he was letting her do all the work. He went over here. He'd do that first twirl, and then she'd do 16 spins and come back around to him and everything, and he... That first term, he was surrounded by people, you know, Rex Tillerson. He had all these people around him who, you know, mildly competent but deeply boring, and then they wouldn't do what he would do in their situation. They're like, no, we have to, and they had, like, you know, a little bit of rule of law in there, even though plenty of things were contested as unconstitutional, but there were still people who had a bit of a thicker barrier than I think his agenda and the people around him were expecting, right? And so firing. This time he didn't really have that problem. This time he came in with people fully prepared to do whatever he said, like loyalists, you know. But the problem with, like, sycophants, the problem with loyalists, especially loyalists that are like deeply incompetent, is that they do annoy you. Like they do bum you out. Like it doesn't even look like he's having that much fun when he gets complimented anymore. Like that first term when everyone would sit around and compliment him, he really looked like he was getting ice cream. Like he was having a great day, you know. This time he's sitting there and then Pam Bondi's like, thank you for being the smartest, most greatest president of all time. And he's like, hey, yeah. Doesn't feel like she mean it. Like, so to have Mamdani, who knows? Maybe Mamdani like gave him a compliment that was like, "Oh wow, you noticed?" Or just somebody who can hold a conversation. That might be different, you know. That might be way different. Trump, you gotta keep in mind how much Trump is surrounded by people who are charisma sucks. Like they just, like even when Trump is like trying to be funny, I'm sure they ruin it. Trump might even try to make a joke. And then they don't know because they're trying to be a loyalist so hard, they don't even know he's making a joke. So then they're like, do you want us to do that? Do you want us to do... It's not fun at all. You know? It is a funny idea to me though that maybe even for like who Trump is, he would rather hang out with Zoran than like J.D. Vance. Like it's like the idea that he also like knows the score. Like the idea that he's around J.D. and he's like, this sucks. This is like, it's like, is he squinting or is he smiling? I cannot tell. Because you got to remember, first term, that dude, who did he have? What did he have? He had Mike Pence. This man was trying to be president, had Mike Pence at every turn, just around the corner, like one of those kids from The Shining, just like, anything you need me to do, Mr. President? Mike Pence too locked in. He was. Like, even when he would do an interview, you'd be like, oh, this is maybe the most humorless person I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, at least JD is cringe. Like, he's like trying to be funny. You know, sometimes he'll tell a joke and he'll have his own laugh at the end of it. And it's like, yeah, that's not gonna trick us into laughing. That's not how jokes work. There was that weird, he tried to tell some weird joke. I think he was talking to the troops or something, and he was like, you know, I asked my staff earlier, I was going over jokes, we were joking, and I asked them if I should do one of the jokes that I just told that we all laughed at, and they were like, sir, please don't do that one. What just happened? What happened? What was that? That's insane. You are now laughing at a thing we didn't hear. We are not in your head. That's what Trump is around. It's just that guy, or you go to the past and it's just someone being like, so you want to like pray? Apparently Mike Pence prayed around Trump so much Trump started bringing it up. He was like, you gotta get rid of this guy. Every time we're alone, he tried to pray on me, and his first one was nice. The next 12 are very upsetting. Ooh. You know? Because prayers aren't bad. It's always nice when somebody's like, hey, can I pray for you? I'm always like, yeah. But if they were like, can I pray for you? And I was like, yeah. And then they prayed for me. And I was like, thank you. And then I saw them 5 minutes later, and they were like, "Can I pray for you?" I'd be like, "What's happening? What do you?" Now I feel like you praying at me, like you like. Now I feel like you prayed something and it didn't work, and you trying again. Oh, so then he's in there with Mom Donnie, and they have whatever conversation they have. I'm sure we'll find out little pieces of it later, or whatever. Maybe it's out now, I don't know. I watched the press conference, and that was about all I could take. Because I'm not saying, here's the thing, I'm not saying that cooperation is bad. I'm not saying that building, building relationships that benefit people is what politics should be. That's what all the leaders should do, is like put any general differences aside and make sure that they're at least like serving the people that they were put in place to serve. I'm not saying any form of real cooperation is bad. I'm just saying, like, if this is a Black Mirror episode, I would like to wake up now.